Welcome to esport-talk, the podcast for all dedicated esports fans around the planet. Every episode, we'll bring you amazing guests from the esports scene, the latest news and trends to keep you up to date with the esport world. Now, here is your host, Martin Schenk.
Hello and welcome to episode number 2 of the Esport Talk podcast. I'm happy you're here to listen to our newest episode, and today we want to talk about Heroes of the Storm and Overwatch, and especially we want to talk about over the casting scene of these two games. So maybe one of you are interested in casting, so this podcast will be the right place for you to learn something about casting. So maybe I'm not the right person to teach you something about casting, but for this, we have our today's guest who will give you a closer look into the casting scene and as well some amazing tips as always in the Esport Talk. So let's welcome Michael. I don't know how to spell this.
Don't worry,
name.
you're not the first one who despairs a little bit. No, it's Kratzel in German or Kratzel in English. I mean, okay. I've also been known, like back in the days when I used to teach schools, I was Mr. Pretzel because that was much easier to pronounce.
It's like Mr. Pringles, Mr. Pretzels.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, Michael Kratzel, also known as KendricSwissh.
Yes.
Hey, Michael, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you, and hope you're doing well too.
Yes, of course. But today it's really freezing.
Yes.
I don't know, you're from Switzerland, right?
No, I'm not. I'm close though. I'm close to the border. I'm in Bavaria.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty much the same weather though, and I'm really happy that the weather finally swung around a little bit because I'm definitely not made for the heat of summer.
You're not definitely okay. I'm a guy between these two, between summer and winter.
Right.
So when it's have 15 degrees, or that's the right time for me.
Spring and fall are definitely my favorite seasons. Exactly.
Yeah. That's exactly what I want to say. So, to warm up a little bit, introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Michael. That's my real life name. And some people may know me under my esports pseudonym, if you will. That's called KendricSwissh. And as Martin has already told you, I am currently casting for Heroes of the Storm and Overwatch. I'm basically casting in both German and English. However, I have to say that English is probably my main thing right now. So I have like way more casting experience and hosting experience in English than in German.
Okay, you're also doing streams,
yes,
especially in English, right? You don't do any streams in German, right?
Exactly. So all of my YouTube content, all of my Twitch content is all in English because I really wanted to, reach out to a broader, more international audience.
Okay, nice. Yeah. When did you find out esport is your thing? So you are now quite a while in the esport scene. So when did you find out the esport is your thing?
Actually hard to remember because it's been a while already, but I think my first steps in the esports business were back in the days when Battlefield 1942 was a thing, and I started to play the game.
Time ago.
That was literally the very first Battlefield title ever to be released, and I started to realize that I like to play the game competitively. We had a pretty decent clan back then, and that was from a gamer's point of view. And for a couple of years to come after that, I always tried to pursue like a little bit more of a competitive gaming career. Unfortunately, I was never really good enough to accomplish anything noteworthy. So I decided to, try it out and, do my couple of first YouTube videos. And that actually started when Hearthstone came out. During the beta phase of Hearthstone, I decided to, create a little bit of YouTube content. And it was quite enjoyable to do. I really enjoyed cutting, editing videos, so on and so forth. I decided to do a little bit of a commentary over gameplay as well. And I went on over to Heroes of the Storm because I thought that was a good game to get into when it was brand new back then. And ever since then, the game got me hooked. And the same, of course, goes for Overwatch. It's a great game.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice game. Also really popular in Korea, what I hear.
Yeah, there is like a league going on right now for the first time.
Okay.
I think
in Korea right now.
Yeah, in Korea. It's hosted by OGN, and I think Monte Cristo and Doa are in charge of that in terms of casting. And those two are, of course, absolute legends. So I can only recommend checking it out. I just lost memory of the name of the show or the name of the league, but I'm pretty sure you can Google that up.
But that show, is it international? Because when they are casting the show, it should
Pretty
be
sure
international.
it's Korean only.
Really?
But they have like English commentary and they have Korean commentary. So OGN has an English section as well, which of course means that they will be broadcasting all the Korean tournaments and league games and whatnot with an English commentary as well. Because as we all know, Koreans are pretty good at video games.
They are good in every game. So, so you told us you are casting for Heroes of the Storm and Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage to stay up to date in two games? I have a problem to stay up to date in one game. That's League of Legends. So how do you manage to stay up to date in two games?
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely hard to keep up with many games because, as you know, there are many different metas all across the globe. So, for example, you'll have to compare North American metas to European ones, and then Korean metas might be different all along. But it's just, watching VODs of important matches, reading articles, summaries, watching the results. And there are also, in Heroes of the Storm, for example, we have a website that also stores and saves the drafts, right? So sometimes you just have to look at the drafts, and if you spot anything different or weird there, that might also be something to note down and talk about next time. So oftentimes you don't actually have to watch all the games. Sometimes it's just, quite smart to watch the details, for example, drafts on websites and stuff like that. But I agree. I probably think I couldn't do more than 2 or 3 games at the same time. So I definitely have a lot of respect to hosts and casters who really know various games very, very well.
Yeah, that's my problem. I have to know everything about every game. We are doing podcasts about Counter-Strike, Heroes of the Storm, Overwatch, and there are a lot of commentary in when we are starting with this project. People said, "Hey, this guy doesn't know anything about this game," but that's really a problem, and it's really hard to stay up to date in every game, and I think that's impossible for me.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy, and similarly to real life sports commentators, when their usual job is commentating football, and then all of a sudden they have to cover basketball. I think that's pretty hard to get into as well. So, yep.
But, on the other hand, I don't have to know everything because I have my guests and they know everything from this game. So,
I'm trying my best to save you here when we talk about Heroes and Overwatch.
So, we are talking about staying up to date with 2 games. And now we are going to the casting thing. Is it difficult for you to cast 2 different games?
Not really. I think in my case, Overwatch and Heroes of the Storm are 2 entirely different games. Of course, there are also different genres, which helps out a lot. So Overwatch being a first-person shooter and Heroes of the Storm being a MOBA type of game. So I don't really confuse that all too much. Although I'm going to be honest that sometimes when abilities have a similar name, for example, it might get confusing every now and then. So, for example, in Heroes of the Storm, there's an ability called Earthquake, and in Overwatch, there's an ability called Earth Shatter. So, sometimes if you don't pay attention, if you don't really,
and the people think, what do this guy doing?
Exactly right.
Is he casting Overwatch or Heroes of the Storm?
Well, then again, if you behave like very normally and you act like nothing really happened, most viewers and most fans won't even notice it. And even if they do, you just got to keep your calm about it and don't let yourself get distracted.
Yeah, of course. I totally understand you. Do you have time to play in your free time when you're casting 2 games? I think that's pretty a lot.
So right now, my schedule is very full, not necessarily with casting and commentating only, but also doing your normal streaming business, for example, or YouTube business, because I'm going to be honest with you, if I were doing casting and commentating and hosting as a full-time job only, I probably wouldn't make enough money. So, streaming on Twitch and making videos on YouTube is definitely a huge part of my monthly income. So I actually have to play in order to, survive, if you will. But you're right. It's definitely not as much time as I used to have before I got committed to casting and making content.
Okay, that means the only time you're playing games is when you are streaming or
Pretty
recording
much.
some YouTube videos. Okay. Okay. Yep. But streaming is also, I think, more free time.
It is kind of a good mix between work,
Okay.
non-pleasant things, and as you mentioned, free time.
Okay. What are your biggest benefits of your job?
Definitely to, do something that I really enjoy and really love from the bottom of my heart. So I know a couple of real life friends who are not necessarily gamers, and they have their day-to-day jobs, and oftentimes they do not enjoy what they're doing. They hate to go to work. They can't stand the office. They got some issues.
Oh, it's Monday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't have any of these issues because I really cover things and I really work with things that I truly enjoy and that I truly love, and that is a big blessing in my opinion.
Okay. So you love your job.
Yes, absolutely. Couldn't be happier.
Okay. Do you ever I don't know if some of the big caster were pro gamers before they are starting with the casting. Have you ever been a pro gamer before you started
I've
the
been a
casting thing?
semi-pro gamer in Warcraft 3. So I wasn't really at the top of Europe or
Warcraft
anything.
3.
It's also, quite a while ago, obviously. But
Yeah.
I was pretty good at the game, and I committed a lot of time into it. So I won a little bit of prize money during smaller offline tournaments, but I wasn't good enough to play for a real pro team and get a salary. So I would consider myself a semi-pro back then.
Okay. Semi-pro is also pretty good. Warcraft?
Warcraft 3.
Warcraft 3.
That's like, I mean, some players and some tournaments are still being run in this game, which is already, I don't know, at least 10 to 15 years old. But, it's having a little bit of a resurgence right now with former pro players streaming the game on Twitch. There was even a tournament a couple of weeks ago. So it's actually still funny to see such old gems still, being played.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Let's go into self-criticism.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you think you have to improve to create better content? I know that's maybe a hard question.
No, I love these questions because you really have to be honest with yourself. And I think you can always improve. And that's totally a super cool question. I think one of my biggest weaknesses is probably, my time management. Oftentimes I don't feel I'm very efficient with, calculating and planning on what I do on which day. I basically wake up and I'm pretty much very spontaneous. Today I'm going to do a video on Heroes of the Storm, and tomorrow I might be doing something on Overwatch. So oftentimes, I don't really have a schedule behind me, and I think I could definitely plan my daily work schedule a little bit better. In terms of casting and commentating, I could probably always improve on my English vocabulary because despite, casting in English and commentating and having a little bit of experience there, I think my vocabulary, my overall my grammar, everything else related to the English language is not yet on a level compared to someone who's a native speaker. So Americans, British people, Australians and stuff like that, they still sound more natural. And that's something I'm always aiming to improve.
Yeah, but that needs a long time to get on this level.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because you have to be a native speaker, and I think that's a whole other level. You need a lot of time. How long do you cast right now in English?
I've been casting for. It's a good question. I've been casting in English for I would say 2 years.
Okay.
Yep. It pretty much all started back when Heroes of the Storm was quite new, and that was 2015. At the beginning of 2015, I guess, that's when the competitive scene really kicked off. So, roughly 2 years.
Okay, nice. I want to say something about the time management. I also have problem with time management, but I have Philip. He schedule every podcast, so I have no problems anymore.
I mean, we didn't have any problems with our schedule setting up this podcast at all, didn't we?
Yeah, that's true. But I only have to wake up and don't have to think, do I forget anything? But sometimes I also forget something, and he doing his scheduled job really well. But
Yeah.
I was the problem, so yeah. Let's give the people some tips about casting, because you are a pro caster and you know what you're doing. So do you have any tips for people who wants to start casting? And I think I also will benefit from it.
So one of the tips I would give to people who are trying to get into casting is to, think of something that suits you. You will have to find a casting style that suits you. Generally speaking, there are two ways of casting. You can do play-by-play, which means, of course, that you are hyping it up, right? So when there's a big team fight going on in League of Legends or any other MOBA game, for example, that play-by-play caster hypes everything up. He's commentating very fast when something exciting is happening. And then you have a more, analysis caster who joins the play-by-play caster once he's done. So, for example, there's intense battle going on. The play-by-play caster, walks you through it, and then the analysis caster, when they'll join in and provide more in-depth knowledge about what we've just seen. He can also be a pro gamer, a former pro gamer, someone usually who has super deep knowledge of the game and usually knows what they're talking about. So you will have to decide which kind of cast you want to be in the first place. Then also work on your voice, work on the way you pronounce things, on your intonation. Don't try to be, very monotone. You want to entertain and excite people. So I think that's also very, very important. And most importantly, don't let yourself get discouraged when someone doesn't like your casting, because there's always going to be someone criticizing you for being boring, for not knowing what you're talking about. It's very important to ignore these kind of people and really pay attention to the sophisticated and valuable feedback only.
Yeah. There are always people outside who are
called haters. There's always going to be haters
or
who
haters
don't like what you're doing.
Yeah, that's true. A long time I have a problem with haters, but I think I overcome this thing. So
yeah,
but not everyone is not physical, psychological. Is this the right word?
What you're trying to say?
I don't know.
You mean psychologically made for this?
I mean, some people have more problems with haters, and some people have overcome this person.
It has a lot to do with self-confidence,
Self-confidence.
So,
yeah. That's what I mean.
Awesome. It's definitely true. I mean, some people can just shrug it off, and be like, well, I don't really care what those people are saying. And others are more like, oh, man, I should probably listen to those guys and work on the things they said. And you always have to find the balance between listening to criticism and just ignoring it, in my opinion.
Yeah, if it is good criticism, it's no problem. So
for example, if a fellow caster who I know I can trust approached me and said, Kendrick, I would work on this and that, and I would really pay more attention to this and that, then I would totally, take that into account, and I would try to improve on the things they mentioned. However, if just some normal random person on Twitch, for example, in Twitch chat says something negative about my casting, I probably wouldn't really mind it too much.
Okay. I think that's the best way. So, yeah. One more question about casting. Do you have problems anymore to speed up, to talk fast in English when you're casting something? Because you have to talk fast if there is a situation going on, and everything is fast when you are casting a MOBA. So
to say that I wouldn't have any issues when it comes to talking fast in English, I would be a liar. But it's definitely gotten a lot easier once you sort of have your own flow and once you have your own vocabulary and you have a couple of phrases that you can repeat. And it's funny, if you pay closer attention to casters, you will find that each caster has, their own language or their own way of, building bridges to give yourself a little bit more breathing room and room of thought. So that's really interesting to see. But yeah, sometimes I just have to stall a little bit and just keep on talking while I'm making up my mind to say what I really want to say.
Okay, cool. So last question. What are your goals for 2016? So no, 2016, it's nearly over. So 2016 and 2017 beginning. So
that's a good question. My biggest goal for this year is to further, grow and improve on what I love to do, which is, of course, creating content, casting, hosting. And next year is basically the same thing. I really want to improve. I really want to work on more gigs. I want my games or the games that I focus on to be more successful. And I think a good commentator, a good caster, or a good content creator plays a huge role in bringing their games forward and making them a nicer place for everybody, the fans, the players, the developers. So that's definitely my goal. And I also want to make it to BlizzCon at some point. That is definitely would be my ultimate nerd dream come true. For those of you who don't know what BlizzCon is, it's basically, a big convention made by Blizzard for the fans in the US. And that would be my absolute highlight.
But it's pretty expensive, right?
You basically have to fly over. You have to get a ticket. And
yeah, I mean, but the ticket is pretty expensive.
Yeah.
I hear from some people it's pretty expensive. So
yeah,
it would be pretty cool to visit BlizzCon. But yeah, for us, it's much more expensive as for people who are So now we have prepared something, and you already know what comes next.
Oh, is it my favorite part of the show?
I don't know how is it called in English. Is it Blitz? Blitz.
Good question, actually. I would go for
speed questions
or something like that. I have no idea myself, to be honest. Just
what did you say? What did you say?
Lightning rounds, quick questions.
Lightning rounds or
that was literally something that came to my mind. I'm not sure if lightning rounds is actually something that exists, but pretty sure everybody out there will get the meaning.
Of course. Yeah, we have to find a name. So yeah, let's start. Are you ready?
Always ready.
Okay. So Coca-Cola or Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Coke. Okay, why?
Absolutely. Coke is something I grew up with. Coke is something I connect very enjoyable memories with. And
you connect memories with Coca-Cola?
Absolutely. I mean, the first time you had Coke, all the good times you had at McDonald's, for example, when you were a kid enjoying your Coke, because back or still up to this day, I think parents are very strict when it comes to, drinking sugary drinks. So a Coke or a Fanta or anything else related to those kind of drinks used to be always something very special.
Yeah, true.
To be honest, I think you don't have a lot of chances to buy Pepsi in Germany. I mean, Coke's pretty much everywhere, and if you want to buy Pepsi, you will have to go to the supermarket pretty much, because I don't know any cinemas. Most restaurants don't have Pepsi, at least in my vicinity. So Coke is just more present.
That's true. Coke is more popular, and the copy of Coke, this
Fritz Cola.
Fritz Cola or this cheap stuff you're getting in all these cheap markets. So yeah. So pizza or hot dog? Hot dog.
That's an easy one. Pizza, because you can have way more variation with pizza. You can pretty much throw anything on a pizza and it still tastes good. With a hot dog,
you can throw anything on a hot dog. So
I'm not so sure.
I don't know.
You could throw fish on a hot dog and it would taste good.
You can throw anything on a hot dog, but if it tastes good, that's a good question. So,
pizza definitely.
So pizza, nice. I'm also a huge pizza fan.
Nice.
Japan or China?
Japan, easy.
Okay.
I've been to Japan a couple of times already, and it's by far one of my hugest passions. I'm super interested in Japanese culture, history, the language even. And that's probably one of my biggest passions next to gaming. And You can even connect those two, right? Because Japan is a big gaming country as well. They might focus more on consoles, but gaming is still huge over there.
That's true. I think Japan, they have a lot of people in small rooms.
Right.
This country is not the biggest country, but it's really peaceful. I think Japanese is a peaceful country, and that's what I love in on Japan. Yeah.
Yep.
So
great
I definitely will get there.
Recommend going there.
What?
I can definitely recommend going there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think me and my girlfriend went next year to Japan.
Nice, awesome.
For 1 month, I think, maybe. Yeah. So, last question.
All right.
Bungee jumping or skydiving? Is it bungee jumping in English? I think so.
Yes, I would say so.
Or skydiving?
I would probably go for bungee jumping because it's over relatively quickly, and skydiving I think can take a little bit longer. And since
maybe,
hopefully, and since I'm really scared of heights, I think bungee jumping might be the lesser of the two evils.
So, if you had the chance, would you do that?
Probably not. Even if someone paid for me, or even if someone invited me over, I would probably not do it. If
someone
gave
paid
me a lot of money for it, then maybe.
No. When someone told me, "Hey, I paid for you you can go bungee jumping," I would say, "Hey, you're an idiot. You can jump. You can jump if you like."
Yeah, I would probably be too scared because I'm really scared of heights. It's probably one of my greatest weaknesses, if you will, and so yeah, I couldn't do it.
I know how you feel. It's also one of my greatest weaknesses.
Yeah, definitely not made for the heights. Despite being so close to the Alps, can't do it.
Yeah. So we are done.
Cool.
That was the last.
That was quick
question. Or that are quick questions, So thank you, Michael, to take your time to be here.
Thank you for having me.
It was really amazing. Like the last time, we are doing the podcast, but only in German.
Awesome.
And now in English. Really awesome. And yeah, if you want to find out more about Michael, we will put everything into our blog post. You have Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. You have everything, I think. So yeah, we will put everything into the blog post. And if you're listening to this episode through iTunes, you will find everything in the iTunes description. There, I think there will be also every link. I don't know. I have to check this out. So, thank you, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
And we will close this podcast right now. So, thank you for everyone to listen to this podcast. So I'm getting nervous right now. Why?
It's already over.
We already finished this podcast and I get nervous. So thank you for listening to this podcast, and I hope you will be in the next episode where we talk about, I don't know, I have to take a look, but I think that's a secret. You will hear if you are joining the next podcast. So yeah, let's finish this podcast. You can do this, Michael. You're a procaster.
You want me to have the last word?
Yeah, you have the last word.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much for inviting me over. Feel free to check out Heroes of the Storm and Overwatch. Great games. And check me out on social medias. I've got cookies for everyone. And talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.